Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy Podcast. My name is Tyler Anderson. I am your host. This is episode 27, November 23rd, 2024. We're recording this on Saturday before the Sunday games kick off. And in this episode, we're going to be doing our Week 12 starts of the week for the 2024 fantasy football season. So buckle in. Make sure you got your listening ears on because we're going to go through the lineups, go through all the games coming up for Week 12, and I've identified some starts that I really think can make a difference in lineups this week. There's some guys that you might already be thinking of starting that I think are really going to ball out more than normal, and there's some more under-the-radar guys that I think might be worth sliding in the lineup if you need it, especially with all these bye weeks we have going on. Injuries. Obviously, Brock Purdy is out for the 49ers, so that affects Jawan Jennings and Debo and that whole offense. So there's a lot of stuff going on around the league. So before we get into the actual podcast, please make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are enjoying the podcast. I have this posted pretty much everywhere, but if you do want the YouTube, if you want the video, head over to the YouTube, look up Fantasy Football Prodigy on YouTube. I got that green and black logo. It's pretty dope. And yeah, I think we're ready to jump right into our starts of the week. And while you're on the YouTube, make sure to drop a like so we can go viral with these starts, because people need to see this. Although you don't want your league mates to see this video, I guess, because they would win. Everyone who watches my videos wins, unless you ask my TikTok. I've posted some bad starts on TikTok, but we did better lately. Last week was better, so we're on a hot streak. But I'm very confident in my quarterback starts of the week, which is where we're going to start. So we're going to go position by position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. And then I'll just do a little walkthrough, I guess, of the defenses. I don't have any starts of the week for that, but we'll just kind of give a brief overview of the defensive landscape. So we're going to start at quarterback, and I love this guy this week. Quarterback Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. I love Bo Nix as a quarterback start of the week. He has been the quarterback 7 in points per game on the season, and he's been the quarterback 5 in points per game since week 5. The Raiders give up the 8th most points per game to the quarterback position. And Bo Nix, he's just been hot lately. He's been on fire. He offers rushing upside. The last time he played the Raiders, which was in week 5, he threw for 202, and he also tacked on a rushing touchdown. He has gone from a shaky rookie to start the season to a decent streaming candidate to an absolute fantasy force at the quarterback position. I love him in this matchup as a mid quarterback 1 play in week 12. Bo Nix, get him in your lineups. I have one more quarterback start of the week for you guys here, and we're going to go with Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Chargers start. Did I say that Bo Nix was on the road? He's on the road. Bo Nix is on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. So back to Herbert. So Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Chargers started the season running the ball as much as possible, and Herbert, despite being an extremely talented quarterback, saw his fantasy output suffer as a result of the offensive game plan. Well, Herbert has been slinging it lately, and I expect plenty of passing volume for the Chargers in Week 12 against Baltimore. The Ravens are near impossible to run on, but they allow the 3rd most points per game to quarterbacks. This game also has a 51-point over-under, the highest of the week. I expect a shootout between Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson on Monday Night Football. Justin Herbert is a high quarterback 1 in Week 11. And yeah, that game is the highest over-under of the week. The second highest is the Lions and Colts at 50.5. And I'm using the DraftKings Sportsbook lines, whatever we call it, for my lines for this video. And we're also going to be doing half PPR. It's kind of the standard setting that I use to go off of my thoughts. So moving on to the running back position. Running back start of the week, Brian Robinson of the Washington Commanders at home versus the Dallas Cowboys. He is the running back 20 in points per game so far on the season. He's always a threat to score a touchdown, and there's a really good chance that he scores against the Cowboys in week 12. Dallas gives up the 3rd most points per game to running backs, so the matchup is great. Additionally, This game has a 45.5 point over-under, and Washington is 10.5 point favorites at home. This means that the game script projects Washington to have the lead and for Brian Robinson to see plenty of opportunity on the ground. For week 12, I like Brian Robinson as a high running back to play. Is he really only the running back 20? Yeah, in half PPR, he's the running back 20 on the season in points per game. So weird. It feels like he's been better than that, but he's been solid. He's been really solid all season, especially when he gets in the end zone. So yeah, he's a really good play, especially in this matchup. I had him on my bench last week against the Eagles, and he had 13. I mean, it's in a non-PPR league, but he had 13 points as he got in the end zone. So he's always just a threat to score. But I got one more running back start of the week for you guys here. We're going to go with Kareem Hunt of the Kansas City Chiefs on the road against the Carolina Panthers. Fellow running back Isaiah Pacheco is close to returning from that leg injury, but he has been ruled out for week 12. So we get at least one more week of Kareem Hunt dominating this backfield in Kansas City. He has been great since taking over as the starter for the Chiefs. He's the running back 10 in points per game since week 5. And now the Chiefs get to take on the Carolina Panthers, who give up the most points per game to running backs in the entire NFL. The Chiefs are 10.5 point favorites in this game. Coming off a loss to the Bills last week, I think the Chiefs come out looking to absolutely dominate the Panthers and make a statement. Kareem Hunt should see a ton of volume and scoring opportunities in this game. He is a high running back to play in week 12. Moving on to the wide receiver position, I have a bit of a combo start of the week, and we're going to go with Quentin Johnston and Lad McConkey of the LA Chargers at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, I love Justin Herbert this week as a high-end quarterback one. The passing offense has been great for the Chargers lately, and this game has a 51 point over-under, the highest of the week. The Ravens give up the most points per game to wide receivers, and Justin Herbert has to throw the ball to somebody, right? And these are his top two wide receiver options in Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnston. Now, Lad McConkey has been dealing with a shoulder injury this week. He did not practice on Thursday, but he logged a limited practice on Friday. If he is healthy and good to go, he is a great wide receiver to play in this matchup, but he carries some risk with that injury. So monitor the news. If anything comes out that he's going to be limited or anything like that, obviously that adds even more risk to the play. On the other side, on the same team, Quentin Johnston, he's had his ups and downs this season and frankly throughout his career, but he has taken a big step forward this season after his ugly rookie year, and this is a matchup where he has a chance to make some big plays. He is a low wide receiver 2, high wide receiver 3 play with upside, especially if this thing becomes a shootout and hits the over and he's able to hit on a big touchdown catch. At tight end, another start of the week of mine, you can also throw in LA Chargers tight end Will Dissly into your lineup if you don't have a locked-in starter. He's actually been very involved in the offense lately and is a solid streamer in what projects to be a high-scoring game with a lot of passing. Will Dissly, gotta love that guy. Gotta love him. He's been getting it done. He's had a couple good games lately, so the tight end position is gross. Not someone that I'm forcing in the lineup, kind of like Quentin Johnston. I'm not forcing him in, but I think these guys in this matchup have some potential to have a good game here, especially if it hits the over, which usually when a game has a high over under like this, it doesn't hit, but still, I think there's going to be a lot of offense here. But that was kind of my segue, I guess, into my tight end starts of the week here. So Will Dissly is a nice streaming candidate. And then I have two more tight end starts of the week for you guys. So, excuse me, we're going to go with Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles on the road against the LA Rams. Wide receiver Devonta Smith has been ruled out for this game, which means more consolidation of targets for wide receiver A.J. Brown and tight end Dallas Goedert. Goedert has shown an ability to step up when one or both of the Eagles' stud wide receivers goes down with an injury. And on top of that, the Rams give up the 7th most points per game to tight ends. This game has a nice, healthy 49 point over-under, and Goedert should be the number 2 passing option for the Eagles in this game, making him a low to mid tight end 1 play in week 12. And then finally, my last tight end start of the week is Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots on the road against the Miami Dolphins. Hunter Henry has been solid since Drake May took over as the starting quarterback for New England. He's seeing a healthy target share, and now he takes on the Dolphins, who have been a good matchup for tight ends lately and just got absolutely destroyed by tight end Brock Bowers last week. Now, I'm not saying Hunter Henry and Brock Bowers are the same player at all, but even if Hunter Henry can get a solid portion of what Brock Bowers did last week, then we'll be happy with Hunter Henry. So I'm not expecting Brock Bowers production here, but in a game with a surprisingly solid over-under of 46.5 points, Hunter Henry is a low tight end one play. And now we're going to move on to the defenses. Like I said, I don't have any specific defensive starts of the week, but we're just going to give a quick little overview of the landscape. So kind of those upper tier starts. You have the Chiefs against the Panthers. That seems like a lock, even though the Panthers have been, playing slightly better than they did to start the year. The Chiefs coming off a loss, I think they're gonna sack Bryce Young and get some turnovers. It is in Carolina, so I like it more in Kansas City, but it's still a really good play. You got the Broncos against the Raiders, who just look terrible. And the Broncos defense in any matchup is honestly a solid play at defense because they're an elite defense, and this is as good of a matchup as it gets against the Raiders. So they're a must-start defense. And then you have the Houston Texans at home versus the Titans. Will Levis turns it over, takes sacks. It's just, it's just probably not going to be good for the Tennessee Titans. That's what we know. That's what we know about that. The Vikings on the road against Chicago. That's kind of a tier down for me than those other ones. The Steelers against Cleveland would have been one, but they already played and they did okay, not great from what I remember. Right? Didn't they have they're like 7 points depending on your format, but Vikings against the Bears, the Bears have looked pretty iffy at times on offense. I feel like the Bears sometimes step up against my Vikings, Purple People Eaters, Skull. But the defense of the Vikings is very good. So that's a really good play. The Bucks against the Giants in New York. They just benched Danny Dimes. So Tommy DeVito is going to get the start at quarterback for the Giants. So you love that. And the Bucks have a pretty good playoff schedule as well. So if you add them, you could hold them for the playoffs as well. After that, you got the Commanders at home against Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. That offense has looked terrible. And the Commanders defense has looked much better than it did at the start of the season. So they're a solid streamer. Those are the plays that I really like. After that, it's like another tier break. You have the Lions against Anthony Richardson, and the Colts would probably be my next favorite. Even though Anthony Richardson had a good game last week, he's shown that he can have big blow up games, but he's also shown that he can have terrible games. Those are really the ones that I like the most. You could go Dolphins against Patriots if none of those are available. Just, Drake May's a rookie, even though he's been playing pretty well. Sometimes rookies make mistakes, and I don't expect the Patriots to put up a ton of points. Granted, they've been scoring more than you probably think. And then the Bears have a good defense, and they're playing Sam Darnold at home. So I'm guessing Sam Darnold will throw at least 1 or 2 interceptions in that game. And if they return one for a touchdown, then you're happy. So those are my top starts. After that, it's pretty iffy. I mean, even the Packers against San Francisco without Brock Purdy, even then it's I feel like they're going to protect Brandon Allen, who I believe will be the starter for the 49ers. I think they'll protect him enough where he's not going to be in a position to make too many mistakes, So that's kind of my defensive overview. So hopefully, one of those first 7 or 8 or so that I mentioned are available. But that's going to do it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you are enjoying the podcast. Make sure to drop a like if you're on the YouTube, and stay tuned for the next episode so that you can become a fantasy football prodigy. Good luck to everyone except my opponents and your opponents in week 12. And I will see you guys in week 13 so we can talk about our victories. Peace out.